Hey, what's happening, guys? Dandaro here with another Options to Play video update. We had a pretty busy week of software reports. Definitely one of probably the busiest groups in the news this week. Also, a bunch of retail, and actually, this coming week, it's going to be a lot more of the same. Not so much on retail, but definitely on software, and actually, kind of like a sprinkling of some other big tech names, too. Uh, Before they open on Monday, there's really nothing of interest. But after the close on Monday is when things start to really get going. Zoom, 38 points is about what they're pricing in. Definitely one of the biggest names market cap wise of the week. Also, probably one of the most followed or will be one of the most closely watched names of the week. I expect these numbers to be fantastic, but it is very hard to gauge how high expectations are. Uh, and I imagine they're very high, but they were very high going into last quarter, and they absolutely demolished them. So, um, using last quarter maybe as a barometer of, or maybe as like a indicator of what to expect. There wasn't a whole lot of action on the day of its earnings, even though they absolutely demolished the estimate. So, with the stock at its 52-week high, options pricing in 38 points, it's kind of tough to lay out the that much money for those contracts when last report was kind of a dud from a trading perspective for option buyers. So, on one hand, I think it's going to be excellent. On the other hand, I don't know if it's going to live up to what is priced in on the contract. So, I might just be more of a spectator on this one. Before they open on Tuesday, nothing scheduled. After the close on Tuesday, nothing that really interests me. Before they open on Wednesday, Macy's, they're pricing in about $1 at one point. And I will say, probably the best thing it has going for it is that expectations should be absolutely rock bottom. Um, Other than that, I don't really have much interest in it. Kohl's, Nordstrom really weren't that good, and they really didn't move a whole ton. So I'm probably not going to do anything with Macy's. After the close on Wednesday, so a few software names. CrowdStrike first, about 14 points is what's priced in on this. Whether or not this moves, probably going to depend on how much it rallies ahead of time. They've had a couple real strong quarters in a row. Stock is just off its 52-week high, but it's still pretty close to it. I do think that this is one that could run into the report, so I'm really going to have to see where it is that day. Um, and that's going to determine whether I do anything on it, but definitely something I have my eye on. MongoDB, about 25 to 26 points or so is what's priced in. Recent earnings reports have been solid. The stock doesn't tend to react that great, though. I do think this quarter should be decent, but I'm also, I guess, a little bit more cautious because the previous couple reactions haven't been too good. So something that I do expect to move, but uh, I don't think I'd be outright bearish on it. But it's something where maybe if I did anything, it'd be something like low debit, out of the money either way, just in case it does have something outsized. PagerDuty. So another software name. About 5 points is what's priced in on this. Those are monthly options, though. I do think this could be another one, kind of like CrowdStrike, where it could be a mover ahead of time. Solid setup, trying to turn the corner after a really bad stretch post IPO. Last quarter was good, and I feel like I could see people positioning more positively into this one. So I'm focused on the bull side, some sort of bullish strategy on this one. Cloudera, another software name, also kind of trying to turn the corner after a bad stretch. 2 points, that's what's priced in. Definitely a little bit more under the radar compared to those first three. Uh, Chart looks solid. Last quarter, it was hit though after earnings. A little bit more of a wild card maybe, but I do think it could be more of a mover than what the options are pricing in. So it could be one that I actually look at for volatility strategy. Five Below, so retail name. About 10 points is what's priced in on this. Dollar General, Dollar Tree were too volatile in earnings this week. Five tends to price in bigger moves than those two, so it's going to be interesting to see how it reacts to numbers. Chart looks like it could be due for a move, right? I mean, it's just kind of in a tightening pennant here. It hasn't been as consistent of a mover on earnings recently, though, so that gives me a little hesitation. Kind of on the fence with it, and I guess the way I'll look at it is maybe more of like a game time decision. For the open on Thursday, Sienna. So 475 is what's priced in here. I've traded this quarters in the past. Does occasionally have some big moves. The last substantial pop, though, you can see was back in December of last year, though. Definitely a little bit less volatile since then. It has been a leading name, just kind of pulled back a bit. I feel like if it's good and it gets back to 60, maybe you get like an extension through the previous high. So maybe something speculative bullish for me, or at least that's what I'll look at. Because I think if they can crush it and it gets back through 60, it could be interesting. Signet, so retail name, about 2 points is what's priced in. We just wrapped up a really great swing trade on this, and I don't know what type of move is left for earnings because it's had a pretty nice run the last few weeks. There are a ton of share short though, and that makes it slightly more interesting, right? Even after the run, because it's just back to the June high, and whenever you have that amount of share short, it can really make things a little bit crazier, right? Especially with like a big catalyst and like gaps in the history of big moves. So this could be something I look at maybe for something like out of the money, lower debit, just in case you do have one of those 20, 30, 40% like moves that it has occasionally done over the last few years. After the close on Thursday, Broadcom, definitely market cap wise, the biggest name of the week. About 20 points is what's priced in on this. It's starting to act better, but it's still not really running. But you can see when I scroll back further that where it is right now is up through the top of like really long-term resistance. Last quarter was decent. It popped quickly, gave it all back right away. Um, it to me, like I can't get over the feeling that there could be a really substantial pent-up breakout if they could just deliver a solid beat and raise quarter. But you know, it has to be clean because there's been a lot of like sell the news in the chip land. I'm bullish biased on it, but I still think just based off like the speed with which it's moving, which isn't that fast, I think anything I do with it would have to be longer term focused. DocuSign, so kind of like Zoom, probably one where I'm expecting very good numbers. About 26.5 points is what's priced in on it. I missed my entry earlier in the week, so I was looking at it. I was looking at it this day when it dipped, knowing that earnings were coming up. I figured this was one that could really start to get going ahead of time. It just gapped too far away from me. I didn't want to chase it, and now it's just kept going and going and going. So kind of frustrating. You know, I had a feeling it was going to work out that way, and it did, and I wasn't involved. So I don't know how I'm going to approach it because what I was looking for has already kind of taken place, and the further it rallies, like the less room I feel like it actually has on earnings. So it might be an avoid for me. I mean, if you have conviction with it, maybe it's something you look at. Obviously, my opinion on it is based off of me having missed it a couple days ago, so that kind of like shapes what I want to do with it. But it is, you know, expectations are high. It's had a huge run. I do think it'll be good, but you kind of have to like weigh the risk reward with like the stock up close to its 52-week high and options priced in a big move. And then actually it's not confirmed yet, Restoration Hardware, so gonna have to wait and see when they actually set a date, and then I can circle back to it once they do. All right, and that's it because there's nothing scheduled on Friday before the open. So you can see still plenty going on. I mean, each week we have some big names, and next week is no different. So hopefully get some good action again, all right? So if you like this video and you're looking for more earnings trade ideas with options or more option swing trade ideas, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you on Monday.